So on this channel I've talked about everything from echolocation to balance to training your toe muscles, but sometimes I forget to cover the basics, and you don't get much more basic than weight loss and body composition. In this video we're going to talk a little bit about some strategies you can use to lose weight, get a bit leaner whilst maintaining or even building muscle. So if you're looking to start losing weight, then many people will tell you to begin with an AMR and BMR calculation. BMR stands for basal metabolic rate. This is how many calories you burn at rest for things like blinking, breathing, moving your body, things that you do when you're not exercising, so you're always burning calories. Then on top of this you have your AMR, active metabolic rate, and this tells you how many extra calories you burn as a result of moving throughout the day. So this should give you a rough average of how many calories you burn on a daily basis, and that then can serve as the basis for your target, whether you want to create a deficit and lose weight, or whether you want to eat in surplus and gain weight. In other words, if you eat more than you burn in terms of calories, then you'll gain weight. If you eat less than you burn in terms of calories, then you'll lose weight. So a BMR calculation looks like this. There's actually a few different calculations like this, but that doesn't really matter. You can find those online easy enough. It's also what a lot of fitness trackers will use behind the scenes if you wear one of those to try and track your calories in and out. In theory, this is perfect, but in practice, not so much, and there's a few reasons for this. The first of these reasons is that this calculation and others like it are pretty much as useful as your BMI, way off. So if we look, for example, we have 9.563 times weight in kilograms. Well, weight in kilograms is not nuanced enough to calculate your metabolic rate, because you could be overweight and obese, in which case you likely have a very slow metabolism, or you might be packed with muscle, and muscle is highly metabolically active, meaning that you're going to burn a lot more calories if you're that weight and strong versus if you're that weight and out of shape. And this just isn't taken into account by this calculation. So if you're sticking to this religiously and you're not losing weight, it might be because you're actually still eating too much, because you haven't taken into account the difference between muscle and fat, and the reverse is also true. Likewise, hormones play a massive role, and they're not even referenced in these sorts of equations. Many people will try and play this down. They'll say that if you're doing your calculation and you're eating in a calorie deficit, then you will lose weight, and anyone who says otherwise is just lying because they're lazy. Well, unfortunately, that's just plainly not true, and the people who say this are just fortunate enough to have never encountered in their own lives, or if there's someone that they're training, what can happen when you have a slower metabolic rate. So for example, if you started taking steroids, your testosterone would go through the roof. You would burn many more calories, build much more muscle, and your body composition would change entirely. Again, not represented by this chart. To a lesser degree, the same thing might be true if you have hyper or hypothyroidism. Likewise, medication can change this. I know someone who started taking epilepsy medication and they instantly lost loads and loads of weight. Likewise, I know somebody who started taking their contraceptive pill and they instantly gained loads of weight. Again, not represented here. And the point is that you might not be doing any of those things, but we're all so different and our hormones are so different that this really doesn't tell you enough. What I'm actually saying is that whilst this can be a useful starting point, because for many people it will be fairly accurate and it's a good guesstimate, you shouldn't just view this as the be-all and end-all, and if you aren't getting results, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with what you're doing. It might well be that the calculation doesn't really apply to you right now. It also means that it does make sense to focus a little bit on changing your hormones and your metabolic rate as well. And there are some relatively easy ways we can do this. A great example is to build muscle. Like I said, muscle is more metabolically active than is fat. We can also look at changing our activity levels throughout the day, because it's not just about what you do in the gym or even just what you do at work. It's about what you're doing throughout the day and how much you're moving. Whether you need to walk a long way to get the train in the morning, whether you walk a dog regularly, or whether you basically just get out of bed, get into the car, go to work and then crash on the couch when you get home, basically sitting all day. Is it any wonder that not only are you not burning calories throughout the day, but also your metabolism is really ramped down because it has no reason to ramp up. So what you want to do is make sure you inject just a little bit of cardio. You don't have to go crazy with this. You don't have to do long runs or really massive workouts. As long as you're doing something on a daily basis, frequently, it's going to make a big difference. And you can look at your lifestyle and make little changes like that, but an easy solution is just to do a small 10-minute, 15-minute workout focused on cardio and calorie burning every day. And this can be something fun. Everybody can do a little bit of skipping in the evening. Everyone can do a little bit of shadow boxing, or perhaps a little bit of Oculus Quest. You can do a little bit of Beat Saber, which is tons of fun. Most people have time to do something like this every day, and whilst you won't burn tons of calories, it adds up, and it's more about that cumulative effect than it is about the acute number of calories you burn in any given moment. Furthermore, if you can do this multiple times a day so that you're doing a small workout, maybe a bit of Beat Saber in the morning, and then maybe a bit of skipping before your shower in the evening, then this is gonna have an even better effect, because not only are you burning more calories, obviously, twice as many, but you're also spreading them out so that you're spiking your metabolism twice during the day. And we get the afterburn effect, or the EPOC, the post-exercise oxygen consumption. In other words, your heart rate is up, you're consuming more oxygen, this burns more calories even after the workout. If you work out once, you get this once. If you work out twice, you get it twice. So your average heart rate, your average metabolism throughout the day is now higher. Make lifestyle tweaks and do 2 10-minute sessions of some kind of fun cardio that you're actually gonna stick to, and this is gonna make a huge difference to your body composition. If you're looking for a form of cardio that's fun and convenient that you can do multiple times a day potentially, then there are a few better options than skipping. Skipping's great because as long as you've got a small space outdoors, you can do this pretty much anywhere, and it's a fantastic option because it's actually fun. In fact, it's quite addictive. When you skip, you get that kind of like one more go attempt every time you fluff up. And especially if you try and learn tricks and things, it's just far more cognitively engaging. This really increases your likelihood of actually wanting to stick with it and do it. I highly recommend today's sponsor, Crossrope. Crossrope is a manufacturer of jump ropes, and they make really, really high quality ropes. They've just upgraded to their 2023 set, which now comes with a faster latching system, new spin mechanics, a new cool design, and honestly, it makes a huge difference to the experience of skipping. I've actually been trying for ages to find a good jump rope. I ordered a bunch of them on Amazon and other sites, just picking cheap things or things I thought sounded good, and each of them had some kind of problem. Either they were too long, they were a fiddle to resize, some of them got tangled up whenever you allowed any slack, and then would still be kind of wonky when you tried to jump over them. You need a good skipping rope to really get the most out of this. It's just night and day. It's so much more fun because it spins so much more easily, the rope stays nice and straight, and the slight added weight on some of these models actually makes it much easier, if you're a beginner like I am, to learn some of the cool tricks because it slightly slows down the movement. And that's the other cool thing about Crossrope, is they make weighted jump ropes. You can get a range of different weights, ranging from really, really light, so you're hardly going to notice it, to actually quite heavy, so you do start to notice your shoulders working more.
It's tiring, this is.
Yeah, well, it's a good workout.
It's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, can you feel the difference?
Yeah.
And there's a 60-day trial period, so there's really no risk in giving these a go and seeing the difference for yourself. And if you don't like them, you can just send them back and get your money back, no questions asked. If you're interested in trying them out, then there's a link in the description down below, and if you also use the promo code BIONEER, then you'll also get 15% off of your order. So give it a try, and maybe this is the perfect form of cardio to slip into your routine. So this sandwich is 417 calories, which is a fair amount actually, but if I was to then burn 470 calories through exercise, then in theory, I've cancelled it out, and it doesn't matter. So if you track your calories in, and if you perfectly knew your AMR and your BMR, which you won't, which we've spoken about, but if you did, then you wouldn't add any weight, and if you burned more than you ate, then you'd lose weight and you'd lean down. The problem is, as well, for a lot of people, is this is pretty boring. Now, some people, they get off on tracking their calories, perverts, but I personally find it really boring, and you've got to remember that if this is going to work, you need to do it forever, like forever, to maintain that body shape, and this to me is just untenable. So for a lot of people, you need to make this as easy as possible. There's a few things you can do to do this. One is just to consider that for most people, you're going to be at a kind of equilibrium. Most people aren't massively gaining weight or losing weight, they are just at a set weight, meaning that you're eating roughly your maintenance calories. If this is true, then you can just cut out a bunch of calories and in theory start losing weight. Obviously there's metabolism things to take into consideration. You don't want to go too drastic, but if you just cut back a little bit, take some things out of your diet, you should see an effect. One way you can do this obviously is with intermittent fasting. If you just cut out breakfast, for instance, you're going to lose about 300 to 400 calories. That might be a bit much, if anything. That's a very easy way to reduce your caloric intake. Another option, something I really like to do, is just to make my breakfast and my lunch extremely simple. And by keeping them really simple, this way I'm able to eat what I like a bit more, eat a bit more freely in the evening. I'll repeat the same few meals for breakfast and lunch. This way I know how many calories it is. This way there's no guesswork, and it means that I can eat better when I'm having my more social meals. It's basically what I called in a previous video, eating without being a knob about it. Another issue with focusing too much on calories is that it means you can completely ignore nutrition. And nutrition is actually really important when it comes to maintaining good health, but also losing weight, because we know that minerals and vitamins and things will help us to maintain healthy hormone levels that contribute to weight loss. There's this whole movement, which is the if it fits in your macros, IIF YM. And the whole notion here is that you can lose weight eating only donuts, of course, because if you only eat one donut a day, you're going to lose weight. But of course, that's not really a very healthy way to go about things, and it's actually going to lead to very poor health over time. I'm not someone who's super strict with my nutrition either, but it is really important to get healthy nutrients and to minimize the processed foods that you know aren't providing you with anything that good. So just to recap, if you want to start losing weight, then I highly recommend that you take up weight training because that muscle will be metabolically active. If possible, on top of this, ideally perform at least one 10-minute session of simple cardio every day, and better yet, up this to 2. It's better to do 2 10-minute sessions of cardio than it is to do one 20-minute session of cardio. Look for ways to be more active throughout your day. Counting calories can be very effective for some people, but I highly recommend that instead you find ways to make what you eat more consistent, then subtract something that you eat regularly so that you can reduce your caloric intake. See how that goes for a bit, and then if that doesn't work, then subtract something else until you find a point where you're eating less than your equilibrium and you start losing a little bit of weight. And make sure you're still eating a balanced and nutritious diet, and that's pretty much a almost foolproof way to start losing weight. Thanks a ton for watching, guys. Hope you found this video useful and interesting. Let me know in the comments down below how you stay lean, what your diet looks like, and whether you work out with that as a goal. And a big shout out to Grant Stevens for not only filming a lot of this video, but also demonstrating the jump rope and his shadow boxing. I've actually been a bit injured lately, as you guys might know from my last video, so I wasn't able to do a lot of action stuff myself. It's awesome that Grant is just incredibly talented in both respects, and if you want to check out his channel, then I'll put a link to that in the description down below. Perfect if you want to learn about martial arts. If you're interested in training that is sporadic and split throughout your day as a way to lose more weight, but also to improve your strength, mobility, and much more, then check out my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0. I'll put a link to that in the description down below. It comes with over 2 hours of instructional footage and an 80+ page ebook. Either way, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.